Arsba Drama Group presents Cast Out, a play written for radio by Lesley.
Alice, what's wrong? Why are you crying? What has happened?
Are you saying you dinna ken Andrew? Avity thinks you must. He is your father after a'.
You of all people know I hate him, Alice. He doesn't tell me anything. Says I'm too soft. Too like my mother and not like him. But thank God. What's he done now?
He has served us a wi' eviction notices. Well, that fiend Abernethy did, but he only does what the laird tells him to. You could see how much he was loving it, though.
Eviction? You and your father? Has my father found out about us then? Is this his revenge?
No. He is evicting Aberdeen. Every household. All in all, there will be 27 families without homes. All young folk with nowhere to go. Oh, Andrew, we had so little to begin with and knew even that would be ta'en fae wis.
What? Why would he do this?
Da says he's going to replace wis with sheep. It'll mak him more money. Da says it's happening our Shetland, no just here, and the kirk is for it.
I knew this had happened elsewhere, but I didn't know father planned it for here. I can't believe the kirk agrees. That cannot be right.
Da had it out with the reverend. You ken my da's temper. Ramsay gied with him as we were feared Da would hit the minister, and we were right. Only Ramsay managed to get in atween them or Da would have damaged him. I thought he was a mealy-mouthed, sanctimonious weasel old man.
How could the kirk agree to such suffering?
Like the laird, they think we're less human. Nae better than Kai. We'll likely war as we dinna bring in so much money. They think we are dirty and lazy and they're far o'er money always. They would be the same if they were born poor, but that doesn't seem to come into their thinking.
When is this supposed to happen?
At the end of the month. We hae until then to pack up everything and move. The Reverend said that it would probably be the making of us to move away from such squalor and get better lives. That's when Da went for him and Ramsay had to pull him away.
I'll talk to my father.
Oh, Andrew. Sometimes I feel so much older than you. Da Feder is not going to listen to you or me or my da. It's all about money and that's all he cares for. Do ken's that. Do ken... Andrew, this means the end of you and me. I'd never believed it would come to anything anyway. You're the son of the richest man and I'm the daughter of his poor tenant. Even if my da allowed it, yours never would.
He will not stop us being together, Alice. Nothing will.
Andrew, do speaking like an entitled rich son that I gets what he wants. I ken life differently. I canna live in thy world and you couldna live in mine. Do I's nae idea what it's like trying to scrape a living out of this harsh land. Do has nae idea what hunger is. It's no what you feels afore thy dinner. It gnaws inside you and you canna get warmth or energy.
I love you, Alice. No matter what happens, I will be by your side to look after you. I won't let you go cold and hungry ever again. Trust me.
Oh, Andrew, I want to trust you, but I know how hard life can be.
I've just heard what you plan to do, Father. Make all the tenants homeless? Even you could not be so heartless.
You forget yourself, Andrew. How dare you burst in here while I am discussing business with these gentlemen?
Gentlemen! Is that what you call Abernethy these days? He's nothing more than your paid henchman. Do you realise the pleasure he takes in making everyone's life a misery?
Andrew, if you cannot be civil, remove yourself. I can only believe you failed to notice the Reverend Twyford sitting by the fire.
My apologies, Reverend. I assume you're here to plead for your flock.
On the contrary, the Reverend has agreed to help the tenants understand the necessity of my actions and to realise how this can help them in the long run.
And how are you going to do that, Reverend? How do you convince families that being homeless and without any income source can help them?
Perhaps you could practice your persuasions on my son, Reverend. He has a soft heart like his mother and no head for business.
What you mean is I am capable of compassion, unlike you, Father. I take it you have concealed your plans from Mother.
As always, I shelter your mother from the harsher realities of business. She will stay at the Levick townhouse until this is concluded. I do not want her tender heart affected by any scenes the tenants might make.
Scenes? You plan to make them homeless. They have little enough already, and you plan to take even that from them. How are they supposed to survive?
Oh, grow up, Andrew. Enter the real world. Their problems are not my problems, my boy. They breed like rabbits and have overpopulated the land I have in the past allowed them on. I can manage the land a lot more efficiently without them on it. They will have to make their lives elsewhere and not at my expense. Now, Mr. Abernethy, please escort my son to his room. He is obviously overtired from his journey.
Of course, sir. If you'll come with me.
You can't do this, Father. You will have the lives of all those families on your conscience. There are babies and old people among them. How are they meant to survive? Even you cannot be so heartless. Get your hands off me, Abernethy. Don't touch me, Abernethy.
Come along, sir. Don't embarrass yourself now. You think your father has a conscience. I know better. But I'm wondering how you know so much. I can only think you're mixing with folk below your station, or you wouldn't have heard it all. So keep a civil tongue to me in the future, or I'll have a word in your father's ear. And I wouldn't want to be in your shoes if he finds out his baby boy is mooning around a penniless crofter's lass, even if she's a bony one. He hasna spent a fortune getting you educated to sound like a gentleman for you to take up with his common tenants.
Come out and fist with Laird Grigg.
Yes. Look what's in the eyes and tell what you plan to evict with.
Remy, sheesht, dinna offend the laird.
Why no? He can't do anything wire to us. He's making us homeless. He's taking everything we've worked for fae us.
Please, sir, have pity on us.
Pity? There's nae pity in him. This is ridiculous.
You have no right to cause a scene in front of my home. Go back to your dwellings and count yourselves lucky I don't inform the magistrate of this uprising.
Uprising? We just want you to tell us why we're a being put out.
You value sheep mair than wis.
Sheep are of more value to me, that's correct.
Where shall we go?
Not my problem.
I have 3 peerie bairns, one still a suckling babe. What am I to do?
I have no obligation to you or your brats. The law is clear.
What are we
Absolutely
going to
do?
We kent it was happening our Shetland, but we never thought it would happen here.
Oh yeah, 'cause this laird is such a kind and caring landowner. Nah, he's even weird and mist.
You've always been greedy, Laird. But even for you, this is too much. We will be left with nothing.
You can't
This is
fight
a
with
disgrace.
like
You
this.
can't
What'll we do?
Enough! Go home before you incur my wrath. At the moment, this is purely business, but I can easily make it personal. You all have until the end of the month to move out. Those of you who are in debt to me will clear the debt, or I will instruct Mr. Abernethy to take belongings to cover the amount. Now, Mr. Abernethy, please take your men and assist these people to disperse.
Come along now.
Get your hands off of me.
Stop this! No!
Move over
Get
here,
a
man.
move on.
Get
You
your
can't let me get away with things on
Do
your
as you're
Get out
told.
of it.
Leave
Get
it.
out of it.
Get your
Get
hands
away.
off. Stop doing this to
Me and my
us.
men will get you
Get
sorted out.
off of me!
Hurry up.
Alice, I've tried everything I can to convince Father to change his plans. He won't listen. My only hope is that Mother can persuade him. I will write to Lurick and try to enlist her help.
It's too late, Andrew. We hate to move on, and Father has made plans for us to sail to America. An odd whaling friend of his is helping us. I'm all Father has left since my mother and sister's deed. I can't leave him to gain alone. We are going to go afore the day when we will all be evicted. That why we can at least tak what's ours by right. Abernethy has already been tormenting us that he'll be taking anything he thinks might be the laird's. And Father is in debt to the laird. He says it's an unfair debt for the Heron days when he was setting up, and the laird charged interest on Athin. He says we need the money more than the laird, and it's ours by right. No his.
Then I'll come with you. I can't live here knowing what my father has done. I'll take all the money I can just before we leave, and Father won't find out until it's too late. It will help you start again. I'm young and fit, and will help your father with whatever awaits us there. We can build a good life for the three of us. We will raise our own family there, far away from my father in this cursed place. I'll not be apart from you, Alice. If I stayed here, my life would be over anyway.
You are dreaming again, Andrew. Life is never that easy.
If we both share the same dream, Alice, we will make it happen.
Sir, I have distressing news for you regarding your son, Andrew.
Out with it.
I have dealings with the skipper of the ship sailing tonight from Lerwick. He told me that your son has booked a passage for himself and two others and paid extra for the secrecy. He didn't pay as well as I did for the secret, though.
Who are the other two?
One of your more troublesome tenants, John Inkster, a widower, and his only daughter Alice. I believe your son has formed an attachment to the girl.
Ugh.
I take it you want me to prevent them all from going.
No, just my son. It can actually play into my hands to get rid of the troublesome tenant and the girl, so long as my son is prevented from leaving. Keep Andrew imprisoned until they are well away, and make sure he cannot communicate with them. Release him only when it's too late to follow them.
Where will I keep him?
From what you tell me, one of the cottages is already abandoned by this girl and her father. Keep him there. That will give the young fool a taste of what his life would have been like if he'd abandoned his family and our way of life.
Get
off me! Ugh! Abernethy, you are even more despicable than I thought. How dare you manhandle me? What do you think you're doing?
Just following your father's orders. You need not take your rage out on me. You're the one lacking sense. Your father plans to marry you to a lady of wealth, but you spend your time with one of his debt-ridden tenants. A poor, ill-educated hussy who can bring you nothing but her obvious charms.
Don't you dare speak about her like that. She is the sweetest, kindest woman of integrity you could ever meet. Not that it would mean anything to you. And I will marry her or no one.
We will see. The girl and her father will be long gone by the time you are released, and soon you will realise your father and I have done you a great favour.
You have ruined my life, you piece of vermin. How long do you plan to keep me tied up here? Am I to starve to death?
Nah, dinna worry. I'll come every day and check on your well-being. Ha! And the day I bring you news that your sweet Alice has sailed for the Americas is the day you will be allowed back in your own home.
I've been here 5 days, Abernethy. 5 days without any company apart from your daily visits, and only stale bread and water to sustain me. You wouldn't treat a dog like this.
Well, maybe you'll realise how poor people live, how the tenants live day in, day out. You will be pleased to hear you're released now. Probably best get out before my men and I set fire to this cottage as well as the others.
What the devil's going on, Abernethy?
The laird's orders. Strip every cottage and burn what will burn. We don't want tenants sneaking back like rats into their pathetic homes when the dust settles. Just be glad it's empty cottages we're burning. And now I'll take you home to your mammy. Hopefully you've learned your lesson. Dinna go anywhere near your father until he's seen fit to forgive your attempt to betray him.
Come on, men.
There she
Get
goes,
the
boys.
fire going.
Give another in going.
Come on,
I'll get this one
burn
done.
every house.
Here we
Get
go.
it.
That's
Get
him.
in the road. Come
Let's
on.
get this
Get it.
one.
Come on.
Donald, what is going on? I met some of our tenants on the road with all their belongings. My carriage driver failed to hear me when I knocked for him to stop.
The last of the tenants left today. They have all been served with summons of removing. I have plans to improve the land and increase the income from it. There is no room for sentimentality, my dear.
Where are they going to go? How will they survive?
Not our problem, my dear. As the Bible says, the poor will always be with us. I just don't want them with us on my land. I'm simply doing what all the other landowners in Shetland have done.
That makes it worse. There is nowhere for them to go.
Oh, I am reliably informed that at least one family has set sail for the Americas. If it wasn't for Abernethy, your son would have gone with them.
What are you talking about?
Andrew decided the love of his life was some poor crofting girl, and he was going to sail to the Americas. Luckily, Abernethy found out about the plan, and we persuaded Andrew to stay.
Where is Andrew?
I believe Abernethy has just returned with him, and is escorting him to his quarters. I will leave you two in peace to catch up. Pray do me the honour of dining with myself and the Reverend at 8. Andrew is not welcome until he shows me some contrition. Until then, he can stay in his own quarters and have his meals there.
So, for the last 5 days, I've been kept prisoner in the cottage Alice and her father vacated. Do you know, Mother, at one time there were 7 of them there. Then both her sisters died. Her brothers went to sea, and then her mother died. Her father wasn't an easy man, but Alice could not leave him to face an uncertain future alone. All the time I was there, I tried to imagine their lives. Daily hardships, taken uncomplainingly. Alice was grief-stricken by her family's loss, as they all cared for each other. They had such poor lives. Father could have helped them, and yet he chose to evict them all. I will never forget the sight of those hired ruffians breaking up everything they could and setting fire to those cottages, all on Father's orders. The man is a monster.
I understand how upset you are, Andrew. You would have given up everything for this girl, but I see now that you were giving up what wasn't that important to you.
You would have been the only reason I would have had for regret. I know how heartbroken you would have been when I left.
And yet you were not even going to say goodbye.
I still have the letter I planned to have delivered to you. I thought you would understand. I wanted to choose the woman I would spend the rest of my life with. You had little choice but to marry Father. You cannot pretend you're happy. You don't love him. You never have.
No, and this has hardened my heart further against him. But I was brought up knowing I could not choose my future.
I'm sorry, Mother, but this changes nothing. I will follow Alice and find her in the Americas. All the time I was imprisoned, I kept thinking she doesn't know why I didn't sail with her. She will have thought I've broken faith with her. I will never forgive Father. He stole our lives and those of so many others. I cannot stay here. I would kill him.
You are my son, and I love you, Andrew. And even though I hate the thought of not being near you, I also cannot bear your unhappiness. I will help you. Your father will be going to the townhouse, and Abernethy will be with him. I have money of my own, and I will give it willingly to you, so you can start a new life in America with Alice and her father. I only ask that you write regularly to me. I need to know you are all right, and who knows, one day I might even hear news of a grandchild.
Dearest Mother, this is not the letter I envisaged writing to you. My trip to America was long and uneventful, but I will look back on that as the last happy days of my life. Alice caught a fever and died on the ship to America. I found her father, and we have been consoling one another in our grief with our memories of Alice. I hold my father responsible, and I can never return while he lives, as the bitterness I feel towards him is like a canker within me. I feel only black rage towards him. I told you before that he stole our lives, but I never thought it would be literally. Alice is dead as a consequence of his actions. I will continue to write to you, but it will never be of news of a grandchild, but only of the slow passing of days without Alice. I can, however, find some solace in helping her father adapt to a new way of life. Your loving son, Andrew.
I am leaving you, Donald. I hold you responsible for our son's grief, and absence, as well as what you have put all those poor people through. Because of you, my son is lost to me. All those lives you have destroyed, and you seem to have no remorse about any of it. I despise you.
You really don't understand anything about business, Mary. You're too soft.
Soft? Do you think so? Well, I have hardened my heart as far as you are concerned, Donald. I have instructed my bank to inform your creditors that you will not benefit in any way when my grandmother dies. I believe you have borrowed heavily against this expectation.
What? Are you mad? You are my wife. Your fortune is mine to control. There is nothing you can do about that.
Luckily, my grandmother's man of business advises differently. You underestimate my grandmother and me. I have told her everything you have done, and she has instructed her lawyers to put in a clause that if you and I are living separate lives at the time of her death, the money is mine to do with what I want. I have already told her that I will use it to ensure the displaced tenants had lead better lives. If I should die before you, then the money goes directly to Andrew.
You can't do this, Mary.
Oh, I can, Donald, and I will.
Mary, please. This misunderstanding has got completely out of hand. You must judge me. I only did what I did to secure our future. Other landowners were doing the same. As for Andrew, I thought it was a passing infatuation with an unsuitable girl, and I did what I believed was best for him.
Well, you were wrong on all accounts. Your actions were those of a man who thinks only of himself and disregards the suffering of others. I cannot stay with you when you have no remorse about the consequence of your actions.
Mary, please listen to me. If I could turn back time and make amends, I would. I cannot bear your coldness towards me. You cannot leave. I need you.
Do you, Donald? Or is it my money you need? The sheep enterprise wasn't as profitable as you thought it would be. I can read you like a book. You're not sorry for your actions. You're only sorry you won't get the rest of my fortune.
No, Mary, I genuinely regret my actions. Please believe me.
Prove it then. Write me a letter detailing your remorse. Show true contrition for what you did to our tenants and for what you did to our son. I need to see that. Only then might I believe you mean it. Then, when I feel the anger and hurt coming back, I can read your letter, and it may convince me that you are genuinely remorseful.
Anything you want, Mary, if it will make you realise my regard for you. It's not about the money, dear. I care deeply for you. I love you, Mary.
Send word when you have written the letter, and then I will decide whether I will return to you.
That's the sister. Can I have anything like that?
This man ain't no shame.
I have 3 pretty bairns. Oh, ma'am, there is a policeman here, and the minister is with him.
Thank you, Beth. Please show them in.
Yes, ma'am. This way, sir, please.
Lady Mary, I'm Constable Johnson. I regret it is my duty to inform you of the demise of your husband, Donald Gregg. I have brought the Reverend Twyford to offer you solace in this terrible time.
Dead? Donald is dead? How can this be? I saw him a few days ago and he was hale and hearty.
I am sorry to be the bearer of such bad news, Lady Mary, but it appears that your husband took his own life in a fit of remorse. We found a letter addressed to you, in which he outlines his deep regret regarding the consequences of his actions on his tenants and your son Andrew. He then drank brandy, which was laced with poison, which the doctor has now identified as digitalis poisoning.
Oh, I knew things were weighing heavily on his mind of late, but I never dreamt he would go to such lengths. If only I'd been with him, not here in our country house, perhaps I could have prevented this. Please excuse me, Constable, Reverend Twyford. I must write to my son in the Americas to summon him home so we can comfort each other. Dearest Andrew, I write to inform you of the untimely death of your father. I know the emotions you will feel reading this will reflect my own. I would like you to return home if possible, to be by my side and assist me in running the estate. I am sure there are many changes we will make. I reflected on these as I walked among the ruined buildings which were once home to our tenants. The homes had been ransacked and burned, and the only living thing to be seen was a beautiful display of foxgloves, which I fancy your Alice had nurtured before she departed. Tell her father that if he should wish to return with you, there is position here for him, as Mr. Abernethy will no longer be in our employ. Please hurry home. Your ever loving mother.
Cast Out was written by Lesley and produced and directed by Jennie Atkinson. Alice was played by Amber Thompson, Andrew by Jamie Maskell, and Karen Erasmussen was Lady Mary. Donald was played by Carl Ward, Abernethy by Martin Summers, and David Smith was Constable Johnson. Stanley Manson, Donna Marie Leask, Zoe Galbraith and David Smith were the supporting voices. The music was played by Amber Thompson.